360, and my name is Blyden Ukem. They say businesses takes you around the globe, and businesses are a way of life. Today, we hope to do the same by taking you around the world of businesses. In today's edition of Business 360, we'll be looking at number one, China's trade war, Taiwan amid US high-profile visit. Also, we'll be looking at India's fluttering rice output, which could lead to a new food crisis. A fall in US job opening as well, and the Nigerian stock markets, and many more businesses around the world. We begin with China, as China restricts trade with Taiwan amid tensions over Pelosi's trip. China has restricted its trade with Taiwan amid elevated tensions over United States House of Representatives' visit to the democratically ruled island. Chinese Commerce and Customs, and talking about the authorities, said on Wednesday they had halted exports of sand, a key material used in construction, and imports of Taiwanese citrus fruit and some types of fish. China's General Administration of Customs said the food imports were halted due to the presence of pesticides and the coronavirus in some shipments, while the Ministry of Commerce said it had suspended sand exports in line with unspecified legal provisions. It's a new battle in the world now, the China-US rift. Before now, it's always been about their commodities and products, US putting sanctions on Chinese products and making the prices and tariffs being very high. And now, they seem to put a small country in between, and that's Taiwan. But looking at other stories, especially the one happening in India, India's faltering rice output can cause a new food crisis. The world is struggling based on food crises already. Rice could emerge as the next challenge for global food supply, as a shortage of rice in parts of India, by far the world's biggest exporter, has caused planting area to shrink to the smallest in about 3 years. The threat to India's rice production comes at a time when countries are grappling with soaring food costs and rampant inflation. Total rice planted area has declined 13% so far this season due to a lack of rainfall in some areas including West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, which account for a quarter of India's output. Traders are worried that a drop in rice production will complicate India's inflation fights and trigger restrictions on exports. Such a move will have far-reaching implications for the billions of people that depend on the staple. India accounts for 40% of global rice trade, and the government has already capped wheat and sugar export to safeguard food security and control local prices in the country. It's becoming very difficult in India. While talking about rice and the businesses around rice business and the opportunities thereof, looking at the food crisis in the world and the possibilities of what could happen in the nearest future, we'll also have a quick look at the agricultural market outlook, looking at the prices of agricultural products all over the world and the consequences thereof based on the economic metrics that's been kept around the world, affecting the different markets, especially the disruption happening world over due to the Ukraine war. Well, looking at the table and the chart we have, we could see the prices of agricultural commodities and how it's turning out in today's early market. Talking about the Asian market, we look at soybeans at current price at 1,578 per bushel. We're talking about 9 points increase and a 0.57% change on the increase. Wheat also is doing quite well after that issue between Russia and Ukraine. Remember the Black Sea issue that's been a pending problem in recent times. Wheat is at $788.05 per bushel at 12.25 increase points, a 1.58%. But there's also been a huge drop in the price of milk. Milk currently at $20.42, and there's been this drop down by 2.11 points, but it's huge in percentage, a negative 9.37% drop in today's market, August 3rd. You're looking at prices of orange juice, which has also gone up, but not reasonably high, coffee and the rest. But a good jump had been at 2.14%. In oats, what oats is doing in the market this early morning, there's been a little bit of advancement at 2.14%. Talking about agricultural products and how these staple foods are doing in today's market. Many people don't get to know that international market is very busy with even agricultural markets. We really hope that the situation in India won't take a deep fall in the economy, talking about food crisis, because the situation with wheat has put the countries all over the world into difficulties regarding wheat and the Black Sea region difficulties. And we hope that that doesn't happen in India. And talking about rice. But away from that, we'll be looking at American mobility firm, what's happening with Uber, as Uber attracts record number of drivers as cost of living begins to bite everybody. Many people are going into Uber right now. The number of people driving for Uber has hit an all-time high amid rising cost of living, pushing people to find new ways to make money. According to boss Dara Khosrowshahi, almost 5 million people are now picking up passengers and making food deliveries for the company, 31% more than last year. Uber has been struggling with a driver shortage since the pandemic, leading to longer waiting times for customers. High petroleum prices also make it harder to earn money on the platform. However, the boss did say that interest in driving for the company was accelerating despite those costs against elevated gas prices globally. This is a resounding endorsement of the value drivers contribute or continue to get and see in Uber. Meanwhile, Uber has been criticized for the treatment of its drivers. In the UK, the Supreme Court ruled last year that a company must count its drivers as its workers. But in many countries, including key markets such as the US, Uber classifies drivers as self-employed contractors, meaning they are not entitled to benefits such as minimum wage or holiday. Still talking about transportation, we'll move straight to the British Airways, as British Airways extends sales ban on Heathrow short-haul tickets. The British Airways has suspended ticket sales for short-haul flights from Heathrow Airport for a further week until 15th August. On Monday, the airline said it had stopped selling the tickets until 8th August, but now it has gone a step further. The move is due to cap on daily passenger numbers that the UK's biggest airport has imposed over the summer. The suspension will affect British Airways flights to domestic and European destinations, and thousands of air travelers have been hit by disruption in recent months, including last-minute cancellations, which have been caused largely by staff shortages. Primarily, it's been a situation that many countries and companies are trying to recover from the coronavirus. The post-COVID-19 era has been very difficult. The recovery is slow, considering the fact that a lot of companies laid off staffs and they're having shortages. It's the same story with the aviation industry in Britain, talking about British Airways. But looking at companies and their profit margins, BP sees biggest profit in 14 years as energy bill soars. BP has reported its biggest quarterly profit for 14 years after oil and gas prices soared. The energy giant saw underlying profit hit $8.45 billion between April and June, and more than triple the amount it made in the same period last year. It comes as a typical household energy bills have been forecast to hit more than $3,600 a year this winter. The bumper profit has prompted calls for the government to tax firms further to help families with rising bills. BP's profit was the second highest for the second quarter in the firm's history. It follows a host of profit announcements from other firms including Shell, Equinor, Total Energies, and British gas owner Centrica, which have been reaping the benefits of higher gas and oil prices. Well, oil market is on the high side, and the whole world is doing the bit they can to see if they could increase supply so the prices of oil can come down. And it's a nagging issue hitting to every household, especially in Britain. But A quick look at the energy market at this point. Let's see what the oil market is doing. Talking about crude oil, talking about Brent crude, US crude, and the rest of the energy products. A quick look at it. We see that crude oil is at $93.267 per barrel at the moment. An early drop in today's morning market of 1.19 points drop, a negative 1.25% drop. Talking about Brent crude, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, is at $99.21 per barrel, a drop of 1.31 points, which is 1.30%. Talking about natural gas, is doing quite well in today's market. The prices are going up. It's gaining at 7.7435, a slight gain of 0.049, which is a 0.64%. There are other drops for gasoline, heating oil, coal, which also dropped at 1.5 points, a 0.37% point. Talking about UK gas too, prices going up. We're talking about gas and gas situation in UK. Uranium has faced some drop, and the market has been a little here, a little there, not really on the rising side. Some are on the rise and some are on the downtrend, but it's what the market is, and they say as usual, whatever goes up normally comes down. Looking at the Brent crude oil, the price wobbled near $100. It's currently at $99 per barrel. Today's Wednesday Asian market. And one of the driving factors is the fact that oil marketers remain volatile ahead of an OPEC Plus meeting, where it is expected to keep output largely unchanged amid supply challenges and concerns that a potential global recession could hit the energy market. Remember, the US president did visit Saudi Arabia recently with a hope that they could increase supply, so it could aid the prices of these commodities and products, talking about the energy market, crude oil, to drop such that it could affect other lesser commodities, because when crude oil is up, transportation is up, it affects the entire economic system. But talking about jobs and opportunities, we'll move straight to the United States of America. The US job openings falls to 9-month low. The number of job openings in the US fell by 605,000 from a month earlier to 10.7 million in June of 2022, the lowest in 9 months and below market expectations of 11 million. It was the third consecutive drop in job openings after a record level in March. The largest decreases in job openings were in retail trades, a negative 343,000, wholesale trades, negative 82,000, and in state and local government education, negative 62,000. Meanwhile, some 4.2 million Americans quit their jobs in May, little change from the prior month, with the so-called quit rate unchanged at 2.8%. While many people are looking for jobs, many people are also quitting jobs at other times, and the job rates and employment rates are not changing and not that difficult, but there's been a drop in the US market. At this point, we'll go on a short break. When we return, Business 360 continues, and we'll be looking at the Ghana's potential probe of Nigerian fintech firm Flutterwave, the foreign exchange market, and surely, the stock market. Thank you for staying tuned. It's Business 360. My name is Blyden Ukem. The Nigerian fintech firm on ending problems continues for Flutterwave amid Bank of Ghana probe. Flutterwave continues to make negative headlines as the Bank of Ghana has officially begun to probe the African unicorn after several allegations from the Nigerian and Kenyan market. Recall that Access Bank discovered through a financial audit that Flutterwave withheld 221.1 million naira belonging to the bank. The money was charged for web acquired and switch fees for 2 years. The co-founder and chief executive officer, Olubenga Agbola, was also accused of insider trading, creating fictitious identity to obtain more shareholding rights, and also abused the power of his office, while the Kenyan government accused Flutterwave of card fraud and operating without license. Amid these allegations, the Ghanaian government is now looking into the financial record of Flutterwave and has ordered financial institutions to provide details relating to the firm's operational accounts. It doesn't get bad than it is right now. Everywhere Flutterwave goes, there seems to be a probe from Nigeria Access Bank to Kenya, and now it's Ghana. The big question is, what will become of Flutterwave in the long run? Only time will tell. It's business, and our duty is to report all the happenings to you. But talking about businesses, you have to talk about money. And when you talk about money, you're talking about accounts. And when you talk about accounts, there ought to be money in these accounts. But according to NIBSS reports, over 5 million Nigerians abandon bank accounts as life gets tougher. The tough economic situation in Nigeria is forcing its citizens to abandon their bank accounts, according to the latest data published by the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, NIPS, electronic payments. The total number of inactive bank accounts stood at 57.9 million in 2021 against 52.2 million in 2020, a rise by 11% of over 5 million inactive accounts. The numbers are expected to grow further as Nigerians continue to battle the rising price of goods and services, according to a report by Picodi, an international e-commerce company. The price of essential foodstuffs requirement for one adult stood at 40,980 naira per month. This is above the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Meanwhile, 7 states are yet to implement the minimum wage. This means that several Nigerians are being paid below $30,000. The question would be, if you're not having enough money, why put it in the bank? The economy is hard, inflation is going higher, central bank has raised interest rate to 14%. It means to access money becomes very difficult. What will Nigerians do? That's the big question. But talking about money, we'll look at the situation with Naira, as Naira appreciated yesterday to 669 Naira per dollar at the peer-to-peer market. The exchange rate between the Naira and the US dollar appreciated to 669 Naira per dollar yesterday from 692.25 Naira per dollar recorded on Monday, 1st August 2022, according to peer-to-peer exchange market. Naira, which depreciated significantly above 700 Naira per dollar in previous week, retracted its movement on Tuesday, gaining 3.36% to trade at a minimum of 669 Naira to a dollar. Similarly, at the parallel market, a dollar was sold for an average of 669 Naira, while the traders buy for an average of 670 Naira per dollar, thus indicating a margin of 40 Naira for every dollar. The sustained scarcity of FX across the country saw the exchange rate fall drastically in the past week, hitting a record high of 718 Naira to a dollar on Friday, 29 July 2022, according to information from black market traders. While talking about the exchange, let's go to the international exchange ground to check out what Naira is doing in the international market, talking about the outlook of Naira against the US dollars. The US dollar today against the Naira is hitting $415.9 to a Naira. Well, relatively no increase, no losers, because there's no point different but it stays at a positive because there was no depreciation. Talking about euro against the naira is a similar, it's a fall rather, not a similar situation at all. It's a fall, but a slight fall of 0.9478 points, relatively a 0.22% fall as at yesterday's market, August 2nd. And the pounds against the naira, current price is at 507.8654 at the international exchange unit, a drop of 1.4964, which is a 0.29% drop for this pair. Talking about Australian dollar against the naira, it's a similar increase for the Australian dollar today in today's morning market, a 288.2062 points, rather in dollars exchanged to the naira, and 1.1021 level of point change, a 0.38 percentage gain for the Australian dollar against the naira. The rest of the markets, you can have a good view at them. So naira has done well today against the euro, as the euro is falling against the naira today. Naira has done well against pounds, as pounds is falling against the naira, but definitely the US dollar is relatively stable, neither going up or downward in today's market. Talking about the market positioning, let's have a view at other forex majors, talking about the euro, USD, and the rest of the market and their performances in today's market. As you can see, euro USD today is on a positive. The euro is gaining after that drop below the 1.02 points, and it's 1.0185, a slight gain, not much. It's been very difficult for the euros in recent times, and the change in the market is 0.29% change in today's market. The pounds USD doing the same on a positive against the US dollars. There's been a fierce battle in today's market against the US dollars, and most of the majors are doing quite well against the US dollars in today's market. Talking about the New Zealand pair against the USD, a similar story, an upward trend for them, but not so much. We never know what might happen when the New York markets open, because there might be a change in the dynamics and a change in the direction for these markets. Talking about the US dollar, which has been performing very well. But many quarters, many traders, many analysts think that the US dollar has gone to its peak, though they're getting to that point where the Feds are increasing the interest rate levels, making it difficult, because when the market goes quite high in terms of the performances of the economy, and there might be possibilities of high wages in terms of labor, which in turn might lead to inflation. So there's been this fight ongoing globally against the possibilities of inflation, and when you fight inflation, on the other hand, it might even turn to recession. That has been the battle we've seen in the markets, as you can see. But exciting stuff's happening in today's market, and we hope to have an overview of what might happen during the New York stock market and what could happen, especially considering the US stocks. But talking about stocks, we're moving straight to the Nigerian stock market and the performances we've had. This talking about yesterday, which seems to be a prelude or possibilities of what could happen in today's stock exchange market, talking about the capital market in Nigeria. Honeywell's Jazz Bank led capital markets 364.3 billion naira recovery. The equity capitalization in the Nigerian capital market rose to 27.3 trillion naira at the close of trading on Tuesday, and the figure was 364.3 billion naira, higher than the 26.93 trillion naira posted on Monday. Similarly, the All Share Index had inched up by 664 points. It's been a recurrence analysis of these markets and what's been happening in the Nigerian stock exchange. On the other hand, Honeywell's led the gainers in this particular market and the connectivity that's happening in the Nigerian stock exchange. But the biggest fall was for Nickel, which struggled to give these level of performances. Looking at Honeyflower being the number one market top gainer yesterday with 2.27 index change, talking about a positivity share price change, talking about those positivity, and Nickel, which dropped a 0.74 share price at negative 9.76%, and WAPIC at 0.37, talking about a percentage drop of 9.76%. But it's been a long story for the market, with First Bank Nigeria Holding led the day's trading with 14.59 million shares valued at 159.55 millions. We're about to close this session of Business 360. A quick look at the stock market in Africa. What's been happening in today's market in Africa. Nigeria tops the share price in Africa. You could see at 50,627 index. And talking about the change, not relatively much in today's market. A weekly percentage gain had been 0.37%. The South African oil is leading also with 68,284. And a quick look at all these markets, talking about Nairobi 20, Nairobi oil share, the Tunisian stock, and our performances. It's been a beautiful morning so far. The markets are doing their bit to conquer, while others are facing a huge slump. This is how far we can go on Business 360 till we come your way tomorrow. Stay tuned with Spectrum TV as News at 12 comes next. Thank you for watching this Business 360. I'm Blyden Uken.